is Terry Bradshaw, quarterback, Pittsburgh Steelers.
It's 7:15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
This is baseball, Major League Baseball. And this is
ABC's Monday Night Baseball, live from Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts.
Looking. He's under the gun. He's fired. He throws. It is.
Welcome to the Past Our Prime podcast. I'm Scott Johnston alongside Bill Mahoney and Mark Hoffman. And today we're heading back to the 1976 Winter Olympics in Innsbruck. The slopes were icy, the pressure was massive, and Franz Klammer went straight through fear at 102.8 kilometers an hour. I say kilometers an hour because nobody knows how fast that actually is, to win downhill gold. He was on the cover of the February 16th, 1976 issue of Sports Illustrated, and for good reason. This wasn't just a race, it was controlled chaos. Guys, when you talk about guts on snow, it really doesn't get bigger than Klammer in 76.
No, and all you need to do to know Franz Klammer is watch his Olympic run. It is mind-blowing, fascinating, unbelievable, all at the same time. An amazing skier.
I can't imagine going that fast down a hill. I mean, I did ski, and I probably went 10 miles an hour down the hill, very cautious skier. But the idea that these guys are going at 60 miles an hour or more is just absolutely insane. It's controlled chaos.
One of the scary things I found about skiing, and I only did it a few times, is you go fast even if you don't want to be going fast.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's all relative, though. You might think you're going super fast, but it's fast to you.
Correct.
Because you're on it. And
Yes.
if you don't know how to stop. I mean, if you look after the Klammer race, he comes down after going that fast and just skids to his left and he stopped.
Yeah.
I thought, dang. Did you guys, I know when I tried to ski once. I went to a snow summit back in the 80s. And they said, you need a lesson. I said, nah, this is easy stuff. I can do this. So I went up to the medium hill, having never skied. Oh, I made it down the hill.
Yeah.
Rolling?
Fell the whole way. Yep.
I did the same exact thing, except for I was in the French Alps. It was our only day off covering the 92 Olympics. And I went out there, and the line for the lessons. Now, I had been skiing one other time, like 3 years earlier. So I was like, I can do this. And I just got my boots, put everything on, went up to the, what didn't look all that high from the ground level.
No.
But once I got up there, was like, how am I getting down this thing? And I proceeded to basically come down the mountain on my butt for and got to the bottom and said, all right, I'm done, not doing that again.
That's exactly what I did, Scott. I went down, I thought, good. I'm getting a hot chocolate.
Mark, you've been enough to know how to ski.
Yeah. So, my first time skiing was in my 20s. I went to Mountain High, and I fell down so many times. I got home that night. I'd never been sore in my life, just aching like crazy. And then, so I skied Mountain High a couple times, and then we went to Whistler, but we went like around Thanksgiving time. So there were only not a lot of runs open, but did a lot of falling down there. And then we bought a place in Big Bear, and we were about a 10-minute walk from Snow Summit, and did a lot more skiing there. And then, so I'm competent in the fact that I can go down a green hill standing up the whole time. I can go down some easy blues standing up the whole time. Not going super fast, but I can ski the whole course. But put me on a steep hill, a little more interesting.
Yeah.
Does Caitlin know how to ski?
She does, and she's a really good skier.
Good.
But she doesn't like it when it's straight downhill. If it could be steep, but if it curves, if the run curves here and there, then she's fine with it.
Well, can't wait to talk to our guest today. We do have the legendary Franz Klammer coming on to talk about that run that he had back in the day. In fact, we are recording this on the 50-year anniversary of when he had his gold medal run in his home country of Austria. So very much looking forward to talking. I mean, I don't know. I could probably name maybe a half dozen, 10 skiers all time. And Franz Klammer is definitely on that list, one of the all-time greats. So can't wait for that.
No school
Scorecard, Mark. Start us off.
I'll start you off with some college football, and I found this really fascinating. So it all has to do with attendance, okay? So they're talking about the Big Ten attendance, and the Big Ten is an interesting thing because right now it's still called the Big Ten, but it has, what, 18 teams in it? But back then it had 10 teams in it. And anyway, they're talking about the attendance in college football and stuff like that. And the Big Ten averaged just under 60,000 fans a game, like 59,658. And that was the most attendance for people going to college games. The Big Eight, which is now known as the Big 12, had about 53,000. The SEC, which is considered the pinnacle of college football, they were third with just under 51,000. Today, they draw an average of like 77,000 per game. The Pac-8, which tells you right then and there how long it is, that was just under 39,000. The Southwest Conference, Bill referred to last week on the show, that had 38,000. And the ACC, 35,000. Now it averages about 48,000. So it's a big difference. The Big Eight, which is interesting, it averaged 53,000, and the Big Eight then had Oklahoma and Nebraska, real powerhouse schools. Today it averages about 55, so it's the same ballpark, but it's not the power conference it once was.
Right. How about this one? Law student Floyd Little, an All-America running back at Syracuse before becoming a star with the Broncos. He said, "I got a lot out of the game, more than I put into it. The players are making football sound like an ordinary job, and I think that's a mistake. I played 9 years, but if I had to depend on an NFL pension when I'm 65, then I'd be in serious trouble. I'm 33 years old, and now that I've retired from football, I figure I've got 32 years of hard work ahead of me. I'm not going to wait around for the NFL to take care of me." So what did he do? He went and got his law degree, became a very successful businessman, was elected to the Hall of Fame in 2010, died on New Year's Day 2021 of cancer at the age of 78. So Floyd Little, one of the all-time greats, and I had no idea that once his playing days were over, he went and got his law degree. Good for him.
Hear, hear.
Billy.
This is about Darryl Salisbury. He's a 6'8" center for Arkansas. He's got long hair and a drooping mustache. But the problem is he's fouled out of 3 straight games. So before his next game against Baylor, he got a haircut and a shave. Here's the result. Only 2 fouls versus Baylor. Next game, he plays 40 minutes versus Texas Tech. Arkansas wins 93-91, knocks Tech out of the Southwest Conference lead. So Salisbury goes, I hate to say it, but I guess the hair did affect the refs.
Yeah.
See?
I think it
That's what
actually
a haircut will do for you.
Yeah.
Back when quotes were bold, they said
Ron, they said it. I think we didn't have a they said it last week. So, whew. Thank God that's back. Mark.
I got Bill Bradley of the New York Knicks, and he talks about Atlanta Hawks John Drew, who had mentioned his idea of making a movie of his own life. Bradley said, "There's only one 20-year-old who ever was worth making a movie about. That was Mozart."
Yep.
And they did, Amadeus. But the interesting thing is, Bill Bradley should have had a movie made out of his life, becoming a state senator. He ran, I think, for president. He was considered for vice president. I mean, he had an unbelievable life. He would have been worth a movie. And then John Drew's life, I think, is an interesting movie because he had a lot of problems. He played 11 years in the NBA, and he was an all-star 2 times in the NBA, but he had a substance abuse problem. So he got banned by David Stern. And then he had to, he battled cocaine. He missed 38 games one season in the early 80s. He spent 8 weeks in drug rehab. Then he was the runner-up in voting for Comeback Player of the Year the following season, only losing to Paul Westphal. But then he relapsed the following season and got waived. Then he gets arrested in 1985 for passing bad checks. It was just awful. And, he worked as a taxi driver in Houston in his later years. And then he was only 67 when he died from bone cancer. So just, sad.
I've known more about John Drew than I've learned right now.
I know, but again, this guy's Bill Bradley says he should make a movie about his life, but actually John Drew's movie would make a very interesting. His life would make a very interesting movie.
So with this guy, Billy, Chichi Rodriguez.
Chichi Rodriguez said, "I asked my caddy for a sandwich. He came back with a ham on rye."
Ha 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 ha.
Puerto Rican golfer, big accent. Big. I used to love him. Remember, he was the one that would he'd make the putt and he'd do the sword
That's
dueling
right. That's
thing.
right.
On came the heroes. The United States enjoyed a few breakout performances here in these early winter Winter Olympics in 1976. First up, Mark, Bill Koch.
He wins the 30-kilometer cross country, and he's the first U.S. player to win a medal in cross country skiing. And the next medal in the Olympics for cross country skiing wouldn't happen to 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we weren't. You can imagine cross country skiing is a very European sport.
Billy, tell us about Cindy Nelson.
Cindy Nelson is 20 years old. She ended up winning a bronze medal in downhill skiing. It was sort of surprising because in practice, she only finished 3 of 9 training runs. She had multiple falls and missed a bunch of gates, but she still came back to win a bronze medal.
Well, as we know, the bronze medal is the prettiest of all the.
It sure is. It sure is.
That is according to speed skater Sheila Young, who has emerged as the most decorated U.S. athlete at the games, winning gold in the 500 meters, silver in the 1500, and bronze in the 1000. So she wins one of each, and as she told us a couple weeks ago, yes, everyone wants the gold, but the bronze is the prettiest of them all.
It is.
And can I add one thing?
Please.
Just to get to Innsbruck, she ended up selling her bike for $250. That got her still husband, Jim Ochowicz, to Innsbruck.
Wow.
Right. That's right.
But when you're mentioning the pretty medals, think about it. We don't silver our baby shoes or gold our baby shoes. We bronze baby shoes, you know.
Oh, isn't it? Yeah, isn't everything bronzed? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that gets us to our cover story. Franz Klammer, the 1976 Winter Olympics in Innsbruck, felt scaled down a little bit. Mark, you told us that incredible story about how the Winter Games even ended up in Innsbruck. There were I want to say Denver was the first choice, and they backed out, pretty late of having the Winter Olympics, and then they went to other countries, and they were like, "Nah, we're good, thanks."
I mean, it was the Olympics that nobody wanted.
Yeah,
Which
this was
funny.
like the ninth choice.
And the voters in Denver voted against having it, which was hilarious. It'd be like people in LA saying, "Yeah, don't come in 28. We don't need
Right.
it."
So it ends up in Innsbruck, which is in Austria, and that's where Franz Klammer is from. And he goes last in the race with a chance to win gold. Comes down the hill at an average speed of almost 65 miles an hour. So, if you're on the freeway and, you're going 60, 65, or if you're Mark, you're going 95. But, and you just see this guy in skis coming right by you. That's Franz Klammer, the Kaiser, one of the greatest, as Billy mentioned. If you have a chance, go and look at the YouTube clip of him coming down that hill and winning gold. A lot of times you look at things that happened 50 years ago and it doesn't hold up. You look at it and you go, that's kind of par for the course now. But his run down that mountain was one for the ages, no question.
Yeah, they changed the mountain. They changed the racing course of that mountain because of him.
Could you imagine driving down a snowy freeway and you're going, like, say, the Grapevine, and you're going down into the valley, and all of a sudden here comes Franz Klammer on skis just whipping past you? Now, as you know, this show is about who was on the cover 50 years later of the date Sports Illustrated was released. So, February 16th, 1976, SI showed up in mailboxes all across the land with Franz Klammer, gold medalist, on the cover. But Klammer actually won the gold 50 years ago on February 5th, 1976. And that just so happens to be the day that we are recording this episode. So 50 years ago today, he goes down the mountain and comes out a gold medalist. And joining us to talk about that thrilling, captivating, amazing, pick your adjective, run for gold is the Kaiser himself. Franz Klammer joins us from his home in Austria. Where is home, Franz?
Home is Moswald, where I'm born. This is a very small village, about 10 to 12 houses now. and I'm still here. I used to live in Vienna for a while, but now I'm back home in Moswald.
That's lovely. I mean, I'm sure you've seen all facets of the globe, and yet you have chosen to stay home to with family and friends and where you grew up.
Exactly,
Well,
exactly.
thank you so much for joining us today. Let's go back to that day 50 years ago when you stood at the top of the mountain in Innsbruck with Austria holding its breath as you prepared to go down and try and win the gold. What was the very first thought that went through your mind?
I had many thoughts before the start because Russi had the people number 3 and I had 15, and this was the worst number I possibly can get because I wanted to have an early number and set the pace, but I had to wait up there on the start, and Russi actually set the pace. He was so fast that nobody could catch him. And I was going through emotions up there. I can make it, I cannot make it, I cannot make it. But finally, when I walked into the starting gate, I knew I'm going to win. I will win. That was my mindset when I started, crashing or winning. So
You almost did both.
yeah, I wanted to crash, luckily. But I was very close. But if you push the envelope, it happens that you look like you're missing it, you're losing it. But in the end, I always could manage to stay on my skis halfway down. So there was a jump, and one coach, Tony Seiler, he was Olympic champion himself. He radioed down the other coach, Klammer is down, because he only saw my ski tips disappearing. And I saw that I'm on my back. And then the other coach says, well, what are you talking about? He's still skiing. He's still on his skis.
Amazing. You know, that run, I think, even to novices like us, of course it looked crazy, but I think to everybody, even skilled skiers and commentators, the way you attacked that mountain, it looked wild and terrifying, but inside, were you calm? Were you afraid, or somewhere in between?
No, I was calm. I was not afraid at all. I was just going for it. I had no fear for defeat. I was going for it. I had to win. I had to win because I was the clear favorite going into the games. I won in 1975 all the races but one, and there I lost my skis. And I won many races before before Innsbruck, and I won 76 the Innsbruck Kitzbühel downhill. And then I had to win. This was the most important race in my life, and I was about going to do it and going to win. So no doubt about it.
You just mentioned it, starting 15th, the last guy to run. How much more pressure do you feel just waiting to have your turn while everyone else is already gone?
Oh, it was terrible because I didn't even want to know what's going on the downhill. And now there was a speakers there, and then there was a really putting a dramatic voice into it. And they say, well, this is fantastic. It's 1 second behind Russi, a second and a half behind Russi, and nobody could get even close to Russi. And then I had to go. So it was the wait in the starting gate or in the starting area was awful for me.
And then you get on that mountain. I've watched this video at least a half dozen times. You're going over 60 miles an hour down that mountain. What does that feel like?
Feels great. Downhill feels great in general. Downhill is freedom. Downhill is just to go for it, and it's dangerous, of course, and just it's about how far can you go? Where's your limit? So what can you do? And you have to be flexible going down, creative, trying different lines and so on and so on. And I was able to do that under this immense pressure.
Speaking of downhill, what does it take to be successful at it? Because it's not just speed. It's not just, is it lack of fear? Is there a mental toughness you have to be successful at something like that?
I think it's all. I think the all the puzzles must come together. So it's not it's lack of fear. But you have to have respect. But in general, there are skiers and racers and competitors, and you have to be very good competitor. You have to bring the best out of you under immense pressure. So, and I was able to do that most of the time. So that's why champions are able to win so many races or so many events.
I imagine growing up in Austria, kids get skis when they're 2, 3 years old and they're right on the slopes. How early did you start skiing? And then what did it mean to actually win that gold in your native country in 76?
Obviously, I don't know when I started to ski, but my mother told me I was 2 years old. So she put me on skis because I was fussy indoors. And so she put me on skis and I was happy out there all day long. And they had to bring me in the evenings because I wanted to stay out. It was great. But to the other question, it was, to win in Austria as a favorite. And the downhill was a really, really good downhill and a fantastic competition. But to win, how could I put it? This competition was kind of, I had very good opponents, like Bernhard Russi set the pace. I got bib number 15. All the drama went in. And so that's why I think this downhill sticks still out of many, many others.
Franz, you crossed the finish line. When you before you saw your time, what are you thinking? Are you thinking that was good? That should be enough? I mean, you're trailing by the time in the times.
I wasn't. I hoped it was enough.
Yeah.
I hoped, but it was not my best performance because I was pushing too hard. I was going too straight. I was in tuck too long and I missed some turns. And so, but the bottom part, when I decided to change something and take a line where I never went before. So I went way higher, way up to the fence and then diving down to this right-hander. I think this was one of my best turns ever. But then when I saw the crowd was, cheering, it's not the right word. It's just it was a scream of, and then I saw on the board leaderboard that Switzerland Bernhard Russi is moving out and Franz Klammer Austria coming up on the first place. So then I knew I won it, and I was really relieved. That can tell you.
What did it mean to give Austria that moment during a time when the country needed something like that, to come together as one and just get behind you? What did it mean to you personally?
It meant everything, but because I had this to win this race, you can win many World Cup races, but there are Olympics, there are World Championships, but Olympic is still the most important thing for a skier. Being Olympic champion, it's a one-day affair, and you have to be informed. You have to do everything right, and so and that meant a lot. And the whole country was behind it. In Vienna, there were no cars on the road, on the streets, and everybody was glued to the TV, and so that really made me proud. That was no question about it. But at the moment when I just crossed the finish, I was just relieved and happy that I have done it.
And I always love it how the greatest athletes, such as yourself, they always play down the amazing accomplishment like what you've done. You were Egon Zimmerman, what was it, 12 years earlier, did a time of 2:18. You were more than 30 seconds faster. When you hear that today, what goes through your mind?
Yeah, there are some different lines, probably, but so all the development in skiing, so the equipment, the suits, and preparing of the courses, so that changes a lot. I mean, it was from 64 to 76, a lot already from 76 till now. So that's a huge difference. So you cannot compare these two competitions.
And I know we're looking back and you cross the finish line, you find out that you won. you had somewhat of a rivalry with Barnhard Rossi. Did you talk to him about that? What was his reaction thinking, how the heck did you beat my time, which was one of the greatest times ever as well?
Yeah, so it was the fastest time on the mountain so far, but I just we spent the last 2 days in Innsbruck together with Bernhard Rossi and Herbert Blank, and we had a blast. We had a great time, and then he said, well, he had two souls in his body. One time he wanted to win himself, and then on the other hand, he said, well, Franz Klammer cannot lose this downhill because everybody wants him to win, and if he loses, it will be a disaster. So we became great friends, and Bernhard Rossi, after the race, came around and hugged me and said, congratulations. And that was the most sincere congratulations I ever got. And that's from the biggest rival, as you can imagine.
I've been very fortunate that in the last few months, I've been able to go to Vienna. In fact, I've gone twice in the last 6 years. The Christmas markets are so beautiful. The country is so beautiful. For people that have never been to Austria, can you explain what it's like growing up there and the beauty of that country?
If you grow up, you don't see the beauty.
You're used to it.
For you, it's just normal. So, it starts to realize when you start to travel in the world. So then you say, wow, actually, that's where I live and where I'm grown up and where I'm now live. I'm very, very fortunate to spend or to live in such a part of the world, and the beauties of the mountain, the people around, and so just a very relaxing country.
You did an interview, I believe, in which they asked what you felt was your greatest achievement. And instead of saying the gold medal in 76, you talked about a 1984 race that you did. And I hope I don't butcher the pronunciation of the town. It's Kitzbühel?
Kitzbühel, exactly.
Can you explain why that race in 1984 meant so much to you, was so special to you?
Kitzbühel is for me the best, the most difficult, the most challenging downhill of all. And I have won it 3 times, and that was my most loved downhill. So I enjoyed going down, even though it was very, very severe and difficult and a tough race. And I won it 3 times, 75, 76, 77. And then I was sometimes second, and I couldn't win the best downhill in the world for 7 years. And finally, I did it again. So this was the big thing. I was up in the starting gate, and I had exactly the same feeling what I had in the Olympic run. I went, put the ski poles over the bar, and I will win. I went ski down with this determination that I will do it.
Joining us is Franz Klammer on the Past Our Prime podcast, 4-time World Cup champion and 1976 gold medalist at Innsbruck. That got him on the cover of Sports Illustrated 50 years ago. Franz, that's an American magazine, but back then it was globally known. What was it like to see yourself on the cover of such an iconic magazine?
I was surprised. Throughout the years, I had to sign so many covers of this Sports Illustrated. I get letters from the US many, many times, and with the Sports Illustrated in it, and they had to please sign it for me and with the name on it. And so I didn't realize at the moment that I made such an impact also in the US. I thought it's only important in Austria, but the US was. My victory in the US was a big impact, and people enjoyed watching it, and I'm very proud that I inspired so many people starting to ski and try to risk something in life.
Absolutely, yes. In the days after the race, when the noise faded, the games are over, and you finally have some moments to reflect. What was it like for you to think what you had finally accomplished?
I did it, and I was very glad and very happy, but I didn't realize that it will be 50 years after. still very vivid and in everybody's mind, and everybody who watched it back then still knows where he was at the time when I was racing. So it's still thrilling, and all the stories are here. It's just it makes me happy.
Franz, when you look back at that race, obviously 50 years ago, take me through what you see about your race now, because there were times you were up on one ski, you came close to hitting a fence. What is it that you see?
Yeah, so as I said before, I had to really push the envelope, and I was pushing very hard, and sometimes I was a little bit too straight, and I hit some ruts, which in training I always had pip number 1, and then I had 15. And then I hit some ruts, they were not there before, and I was sometimes surprised and went too straight and big jumps and barely could make the next gate, and I managed to get into it, and I was just really going for it. And then halfway down, I decided I have better do something good now, because now I'm approaching a turn where I never was happy in training. So I went way up to the very close to the fence. Just in a split second, I decided to do that. I didn't inspect even up there. So, and then I was diving down, and probably this was one of my best turns I ever made. And the lower part was flawless, I would say, just exactly the limit. And there was just the right amount of risk, and to gain some 5/10 on Rusi down there.
I love it how you say that when you're going down, you were thinking, I could thinking, there'd be no way I'd be thinking, I'd be like screaming, just get down to the bottom, please. But that race that you have and that record that you set can never be broken, because they changed Patscherkofel after that. Do you see that as the ultimate compliment, that they changed the mountain because of what you did?
I don't know, but I was just there yesterday on the mountain, and they couldn't find my most famous turn, so that it was grown in, and then they graded it, and it's flatter. Everything is a little bit different than in the old days. But the Bernhard and we went down, and then he said, "Oh, Jesus, this is much steeper than I remembered it." So, and very, very narrow. So there was not much room for error, and so nothing. So it was actually a real good downhill.
When you're going downhill, can you sense that you're keeping the pace you want? Is there like a certain point in the race you're going, okay, I'm on a good pace, I have a chance to break my record or do better than I did last time? Or you're going so fast, you just don't have time to think about where I am race-wise and time-wise?
You don't think about that. So you're not thinking about breaking records. You only think about skiing, and you do what lays ahead of you. So now I have to make the turn. So I'm thinking on this turn. And I have to tell you something. When you're really in your prime and you're ahead of your skis, then everything seems slow to you. It's not a rush. When you're in bad shape and not winning, so you're behind your skis, and everything comes as a rush towards you. But once you're ahead, everything seems slow, and you want to go faster.
I wish I could have experienced that when I go skiing. I don't feel that. I'm on an easy green.
It's a good feeling. Yeah.
Maybe we should try it.
Yeah.
Franz, I'm sure you've been asked this question many, many times, but how did February 5th, 1976 change your life?
After the race, I thought it was just a normal race, but everybody would get berserk, and we were celebrating like crazy, of course. And I thought it's normal, life will be normal, but I didn't realize that it has such a positive impact on my life, and it changed my life entirely. But probably I would be a happy person without the victory, but it makes my life much easier with this victory. That's no question.
you became this national icon, this hero to so many of your countrymen. Did that put a pressure on you the rest of your life that you had to live up to that, or did it just come naturally to be who you were and just go about your business?
Not at all. I just I think it's easy for me to go into public and do what people expecting from me, and it's very easy to go back to my family, just be at home and be quiet and just lead a normal life.
And sort of following that up, when people hear the name Franz Klammer, what do you hope they remember the most about you?
That I'm a nice person and a person who inspired people. That I not only was successful in racing, but I inspired people, and people looking up. They want to achieve something like I did.
On that note, to some of the bigger names today, I think I'm looking at Axel, what is it, Svindov and Bate Foys. Do they come to you? Do they ask you anything, or do you try to help out the new skiers nowadays?
I'm not helping out, so I stepped away from skiing, and I was not in training and so. But we do have a very, very close contact. I just saw Bodie Miller recently, and we had a fantastic evening, and he got the Inspirational Award, which I got last year in Kitzbühel, and he deserves it because the way he skis is really inspiring, and so we really have a very, very good contact with with Axel, with Bodie, also with the now modern racers like Odermatt and the others.
Do you still ski right now?
I ski right now. We had a little race yesterday with about a certain Olympic champion. So all the Olympic champions. But it was a team race, and it was the middle time. Bernard Rusi won, and I was second. So it wasn't that a fair thing.
He got you back.
Yeah, he got it back. Yeah.
Right. Well, you won the one that counted.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's true. Yeah.
But when you're skiing now, does that competitive nature come out in you? Is it like, I got to go faster, I got to beat this guy?
No, not at all. So it's just, I've done it. Skiing is just enjoyment. Being on top of the mountain and glide down and let gravity do the work and make the turn where you want to do it, not where the beast wants to make me the turn. And I ski with people. I never go skiing alone. But I ski with my grandkids, I ski with family, I ski with friends, I ski with clients. I still love skiing.
So we do a trivia segment here on the show called 50-50. I'm going to give you a 50% chance of getting a trivia question right, true or false. Very easy, flip of the coin. So your trivia question is this. One of the better, I think, and maybe you disagree, I don't know, one of the better ski movies ever made was Downhill Racer with Robert Redford in 1969. I don't know if you ever saw it or not, but true or false, part of the movie was shot in Austria at Kitzbühel.
I know, I've seen it. I knew it, but there is a movie out, is Klammer Chasing the Line.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this movie? So it's about this 1 week in Innsbruck. So it's a very successful movie in Austria. So I think this movie will beat Robert Redford's the downhill race.
Yes.
We agree on that point. Okay. Do you know, watching that movie, did they shoot it in Austria? Do you know?
That Robert Redford, I didn't know. I saw some pieces from Kitzbühel. Yeah, they mixed in some real racing and so on, and then
Right. The training scenes were in the United States and Utah, but some of the racing scenes were in Austria.
Yes, Franz. I when we were having a hard time making contact with you, I reached out to the director of Chasing the Line, Andreas, and tried to see if he would come on. I couldn't get a hold of him either, but I would love to see that movie. It's not streaming anywhere here in the States at the moment, but how did that turn out for you? You liked it?
I liked it a lot, and I think they did a very good job on just reflecting to the 70s, and the love story with my wife was nice. Even my wife is very happy about the movie too, so that's more important than if I'm happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I read that it is a love story, which must be so nice for you to, have as part of your legacy there.
Yeah, so I mean, Eva played a big part in Innsbruck. We were on the phone every day. I just wanted to go away with from all this video watching and just thinking about the racing, and so we were talking for I don't know, not hours, but for many minutes about nothing. So that was very welcome to get different mind.
Franz, let me ask, did you you were saying about you were skiing with your grandkids. Do your grandkids know your story and how your Olympic gold medal and how amazing that you changed skiing, downhill skiing?
So they start to realize Felix is 7 years old and Alexander is 5. And when we go skiing, and he says, Opa, why does everybody knows you? Why do you have to sign the helmet? Why? So I said, well, so I don't know. So, but slowly they start to realize what I have done.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time too. I'm always signing stuff.
No, but hearing you say Opa, it brings back memories because my parents and grandparents were born in Germany and one in Hungary, and so it was always Opa. It was never a grandfather or granddad. It was Opa. Oma.
Yeah, Opa. Yeah.
That's spectacular. We think of skiing as an individual sport, Franz, but the more we do these shows, we know that there is no such thing as an individual sport. There's so many people, coaches and trainers and family members that make the sacrifices and stuff to help you get where you are. How important was it, not just for you, that shining moment, but for the people that you got there with, to share that with them back in the day?
No, it was very important. For instance, my parents, so they never watched, my mother was never watching a ski race live, only on TV. And she wasn't seeing, my father was at the Olympics, but so they gave me everything when I was a kid. And they believed in me, even though when they threw me out of the junior team because I didn't perform well for a year and so on. And they believed in me and they put all the effort and all the last money they had at home into me, and I was able to ski, and then all the other racers, all the people, the technicians, the whole crew. It was just amazing because they all believed in me, and they had I couldn't let them down. So that was a very important for me too, and skiing is a very big team sport, if you believe it or not. So we are just single races, but we spend so much time. We go to the Southern Hemisphere, we go to Chile, be there for 6 weeks, the whole bunch of people together, the team. Every minute of the day, we are sticking together. And the atmosphere has to be right, and that's the part of the trainer. They have to organize a very good atmosphere among the racers, and then just equaling everything out, and so I think they have done a very good job, and I had to also do it for them.
Franz, I can speak for my two friends here, Bill and Mark, when I say I will remember two things about you: an unbelievable great skier, the gold medal winner in one of the most amazing runs of all time, but more importantly, just a really, really nice person. So
thank you.
If that was what your goal was,
thanks.
Job well done, Franz. Thank you so much for
Thanks.
joining us today. We really enjoyed it, and enjoy the festivities as we
Yes.
celebrate you
Yes.
50 years later.
Thank you. Thank you. It was fun, and I appreciate very much that I could be on your show.
Franz Klammer from
Thank
the
you.
1976 February 16th cover of Sports Illustrated. Thank you, Franz.
Thank you.
Rookie cards of baseball, basketball, and football stars are iconic pieces of American history, and they have been outstanding investments over the last 50 years. Now, key issues of Sports Illustrated, professionally graded and encapsulated by CGC, have emerged as an exciting alternative to trading cards. ThePit.com is the leading online exchange for investment-grade sports magazines. General Manager Mark Humphreys offers Sports Illustrated first cover editions featuring stars like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Jeter, Ken Griffey Jr., and so many more. Mark, February 16th, 1976, Franz Klammer, the legendary Austrian skier, is on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Does an issue like this have more worth or less because he isn't a standout athlete like a Joe Namath or a Bill Walton from back in that time?
Well, he was a standout athlete in his sport, downhill skiing, and he won the gold medal at Innsbruck. And conveniently, that was he's an Austrian, and the Winter Olympics was held in Austria. But in terms of value and collector interest, there's very little interest in the Olympics generally, which surprises some people. Sometimes it surprises me, and even less interest in the Winter Olympics. So to illustrate this, I'll point out that there is only a single copy of the Franz Klammer February 16th issue that has ever been graded by CGC, the leader in the field. And I'll compare that with the one issue of Winter Olympics that is prized by collectors. That is the Miracle on Ice cover, a very famous and iconic Sports Illustrated cover from 4 years later in 1980 of the United States defeating the Soviet Union, and one of the only covers in Sports Illustrated history that had no additional text beyond the title of the magazine. So the comparison I'm going to make is just in the number of copies that have been submitted and graded by CGC. In the 1980 Miracle on Ice cover, there have been a total of 243 issues graded by CGC. Again, for Klammer, one copy has been submitted. And obviously, Sports Illustrated is primarily an American magazine, and the Miracle on Ice is celebrating perhaps the most important American Olympics victory of all time. Franz Klammer was a fabulous downhill skier, but he's an Austrian. Even American downhill skiers, for whatever reason, don't have much of a collector base. And for great Austrian skiers, there's even less of a collector base. Perhaps eventually magazine collecting will expand globally, but as of right now, there's very little interest in Klammer. On eBay, there's a seller who's selling autographed Franz Klammer issues. They're subscription issues, and they're available at $90, and it says more than 10 available. So Klammer's beautiful signature is on these issues, but they're apparently they're not selling out anytime soon, it appears.
Only ThePit.com offers competitive buy now and sell now quotes on graded magazines online, as well as many of the most popular modern PSA graded rookie cards, including Shohei Ohtani, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Nikola Jokic, and Steph Curry. Trade sports stars like stocks at ThePit.com. All right, let's talk a little college hoops. Grim, but they're bearing it after a dispiriting loss at Pauley Pavilion on January 16th. New UCLA coach Gene Bartow called a blunt team meeting, warning the Bruins were in real trouble before leaving them alone to sort things out. Of course, Bill, he's filling the shoes of John Wooden. Big shoes to fill, basically impossible situation for Gene Bartow.
And they let him know it. They sweep the Washington schools. UCLA is now 17-3. But for that program, that causes panic for everybody. So there were reports of players packing to transfer. A radio station had given out Bartow's phone number. Callers responded by calling him with heavy breathing. And Bartow himself lost 20 pounds, anxiety, and upset stomach all the time. It's no surprising he would leave UCLA one season later. Just UCLA went after him, and he was actually an excellent coach. Mark was at those games.
You know what? You never follow a legend. It's hard, You don't follow Vince Scully in the broadcast booth, or Chick Hearn in the broadcast booth, or John Wooden as a coach. It's very rare. I mean, I would think Jimmy Johnson's the one exception. He followed Tom Landry, but he had very lean years to begin with.
He did that one in 14 or whatever, 15.
Yeah. Right. But what's so interesting is how times have changed. I mean, UCLA, it's right. They've won 10 titles in 12 years. They won the Pac-8 that year. They only lost 4 games that year. I think they were 28-4. Yet that was considered a disappointment compared to those previous years. I mean, if you told me today UCLA could be 28-4, I'd be over the moon.
Right. I mean, they would go half a decade before they lost 4 games under Wooden. They were just unrealistic expectations for those basketball teams based on what Wooden had done there, because as you mentioned, 17-3 at this point, 28-4 on the season. Most people would be pretty pleased with that season.
Not back then.
The start of a chain reaction. After years of legal warfare, NBA owners finally stopped fighting their players and reached a landmark labor agreement that reshaped pro sports. The deal ended the hated option clause, phased out compensation, gave players real freedom of movement. Bill, this was the beginning of the salary explosion.
Yeah, they little caveats to your free agency. You had that right of first refusal, refusal, if I can get that
Easy
out.
for you to say.
I know. Yeah, there you go. Begins in 1980. That was one example of it. Was Bob McAdoo, Buffalo to Philadelphia. It didn't work, so he had to stay in Buffalo. They had a compensation rule that continued until 1980. But I love the salaries back in those days compared to nowadays. 75, 76, 90,000 to 100,000. That's not bad. Nowadays, the average is 11.9 million to 13.9 million. Yeah, inflation.
Well, look at Giannis is going to make his player option in 2027, 28, I believe, is $62.8 million. Yeah, I can see him turning that one down.
You think about that, turning down that type of money when you probably get 60,000 or 60 million, excuse me.
But what's interesting is the option rule I thought was interesting, which was basically if a rookie player signed a deal for so long, the team could keep him for another year after the contract expired. Could you imagine if that happened today? I mean, you have rookie contracts, you know, but you can't keep the player past his rookie contract. He becomes a free agent. I mean, the right of first refusal was great, and no compensation, so if a player goes to another team, the other team doesn't get compensated. I mean, now you have what you call sign and trades. Right. But it's interesting. All these things are mentioned. We're going to now use these in 1976, but they really don't go into effect for 4 years. Yeah. So
they also was the same in the NHL with this compensation stuff. That really stopped a lot of movement. I think we talked about that in the NFL as well. You sign your player, but we take one of your best ones.
Right.
Which doesn't work. I mean, that happened once with the Kings years ago. It just doesn't work. So it was fortunate that eventually, what was it, Tom Chambers was the first actual true unrestricted free agent, but that was 1988. That's not that long ago.
No, it's not. Our problem has been that the players were bound to the team, but the team was not bound to the players, said Lou Hudson. That's pretty much true. It was true until these kind of deals gave players at least a little bit of leverage when it came to to contracts and stuff. So
Though the pendulum swung the other way now a little too much.
Oh, way bigger. Yeah.
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 the deal became a blueprint for other leagues, highlighting that collaboration, not court fights, was the future of labor relations in pro sports. We'll see if that holds true about a year from now when baseball's deal is up and everyone is pretty much expecting there to be a work stoppage. So the pleasure is all Florida's. What a pleasure. A bold ruler colt was acquired by Howard Sams despite doubts about his temperament and modest race record, based on a deep belief in his pedigree and breeding potential. And Bill, they were right about that.
What a pleasure. He was on the party circuit. He sired 157 offspring. One of them, though, was 1975 Kentucky Derby winner Foolish Pleasure. So what a pleasure, son, foolish pleasure.
Yeah, so based on the article, his stud fees went from $5,000 in 1969. By the early 70s, it was $10,000. And then in the mid 70s, after Foolish Pleasure, it went to $35,000. And in 1977, projected for $50,000. So the climb from $5,000 to a projected $50,000 in under a decade back then was quite a rise. So yeah, they did well in gambling on What a Pleasure's ability to sire some big horses. Homebodies rule in D.C. John Thompson commands rare respect at Georgetown, with players calling him Mr. rather than coach, reflecting both authority and character, and he would do this, Bill, for a long time.
Yeah, I just want to mention that Georgetown, before John Thompson got to Georgetown, they had one tournament appearance in 66 years. Under Thompson, they had 21 NCAA appearances in 25 seasons. Yes, John Thompson, one of the best coaches ever.
He has faced open racism and criticism, including claims he only recruits black players, which he dismisses by emphasizing winning over labels. But and he has the record and the wins and the national championship to prove it. And look at some of the players that went to Georgetown: Ewing and Mourning and Iverson. Some all-time greats.
Reggie Williams.
Say again?
Reggie Williams.
That's right.
I really liked him back in before the Clippers drafted him.
Yeah. And then his son coached Georgetown too.
That's right, John Thompson. Then obviously Patrick Ewing came back and followed in his footsteps by coaching there too.
There's a great picture after they won the title in '84 of Ronald Reagan, President Reagan, who's not a short guy, who was like 6'1", a good 6'1", and he's standing next to Thompson and Patrick Ewing. He just looks like a little kid.
Yeah, that was the other thing about John Thompson. He was a legit 6'8". He was a big man.
He was a big man.
And he had those pipes too.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in college hoops, Mark Pepperdine.
Yeah, I mean, anytime I see something with Pepperdine, I like to talk about him because it's not a big school, but it does have a rich basketball history. And their head coach at the time was Gary Colson, and they just lost a game to Loyola. But he's talking about the bad practice and stuff like that. But then they start talking about the university and how they say it's in Malibu, and it's you drive up the Pacific Coast Highway, and it's just such a pretty campus and lovely site. And I think there was a story where they offered USC the Malibu property if they wanted to move from downtown LA, and USC said no, they had too much history down there. And that's when Pepperdine was granted it, because I think Pepperdine was like downtown, or was a smaller school, and they moved then to that site on Malibu. And I'm up there a lot. It's just beautiful around there and stuff. But they've had some really good basketball teams, and the Firestone Fieldhouse, it's a small field house, it's maybe you get 4,500 students in there. But they've had a rich tradition, and what people don't remember is when Jim Herrick was a coach there in 1983, they played North Carolina State, and they lost to North Carolina State by 2 points in double overtime. And what's significant about that is that's the year that North Carolina State won the national championship with Jim Valvano and pulled up the upset. And all that magic shot where you see Valvano running around the court, none of that would have happened had they not won that double overtime game against Pepperdine.
Wow, that's a good little nugget there. I forgot that was Herrick's team. And in this one, they had just beaten Jerry Tarkanian's team, who was just getting started at UNLV. Across the country, offenses exploded. Adrian Dantley had 70 points and a couple wins for Notre Dame, while Mitch Kupchak dominated for North Carolina as well. So some future NBA stars making their way in college hoops. NHL, no man is an islander. Billy, this team is about to become really good.
Yes, they were led by Brian Trottier. You look at him, 1975-76, he had 95 points. That's a good year for a rookie, so he wins the Calder Trophy, the Rookie of the Year. Comes back the following season, 72 points, not bad, but then he explodes over the next 5 years. 593 points, 118 points a game or year average, and he only won 4 straight Stanley Cups. I think his career was actually pretty good.
Yeah, and
tongue-in-cheek.
Bunch of good players on that team.
Clark Gillies and Dennis Potvin and Billy Smith and Mike Bossy. They had just up and down the lineup. Billy Harris, number of guys that when they got old went to the Kings. I mean, yeah.
And that's sort of the dynasty because from 80 to 83 they won 4 straight Stanley Cup championships.
Yeah. It was Billy Smith in goal. He was just the mean, would whack people when they went by. He was sort of that heart of the team, but Trottier and Bossy were the scorers of that team.
4 straight cups, unheard of nowadays.
Yep.
Everybody get into the act. The Golden State Warriors were built in the image of their leadership. Owner Franklin Muley, GM Dick Vertlieb, and coach Al Adels, prioritizing trust, character, and togetherness over ego or raw star power, and that worked perfectly the year before when they were picked to finish last in the Pacific Division, got to the playoffs, picked basically to lose every round in the playoffs, got to the finals, picked to lose to the Bullets, swept the Bullets to win the NBA Finals. Rick Barry on our show said he still thinks it's the most shocking, surprising win in the history of sports.
Dang.
Who knows? I mean, he said they were predicted to be swept, and they swept because they got the sweep right. It was us sweeping them. So yeah, Mark, the year prior, they shocked everyone by winning it all. And this year, they shocked everyone by
losing to the Phoenix Suns, a team that was barely over 500 that year in the Western Conference Finals. So you never know, I guess, when you play a series.
Yeah.
And the Suns, was maybe if the Warriors had played the Celtics that year in the finals, the Warriors would have won another championship. But the Suns gave the Celtics all they could handle that year.
And we had Gar Hurd from Phoenix on that team, right?
He did. Yeah, shot heard around the world.
Yep, that's right.
The Warriors' success rested on a fragile but powerful chemistry. And sometimes, I mean, I'm all about chemistry. I think that's a vital part of a team playing well. But sometimes it doesn't always work. Hey, let's wrap this up for the record. Bill, you're going back to Minnesota and those Fighting Saints.
I think it's 3 weeks in a row. I just can't get enough. Well, their paychecks bounced, but so the team voted not to travel out west. So the team was sold for $1, but the new owners had to pick up the $130,000 payroll. They went out and lost all their road games west either way to Houston, San Diego, and Phoenix. Doesn't look good for the Fighting Saints.
Oh,
that's so sad.
That's kind of cool. From now on, when you and Mark do your stupid little bets for $1, the winner could buy the Fighting Saints.
Yes,
right, for $1. What was that in RoboCop? I'll buy that for $1.
Yeah. Jan Stevenson, Mark, tell us about this beauty.
Yeah, Jan Stevenson, Australian golfer, won her first LPGA event. She shot a 2 over par, though. Interesting. To beat Sandra Hayes and Judy Meister by 1 stroke at the Sarah Coventry Classic in Naples, Florida. But, that was just the beginning of a really good career for Jan Stevenson. She went on to win 3 majors, I think 16 events she won. She had just a really, really, really good career. She won the Women's PGA Championship, the U.S. Women's Open, the Damari Classic. She's in the Wolf Golf Hall of Fame. She was inducted in 2019. Had a fantastic career.
Absolutely. I mean, I had not heard that name in quite a while.
Nope.
And then you mentioned it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know who that is. I mean, she had a great career.
I'm saying it's just another one of those people that are 50 years ago that we have heard of.
Oh yeah.
That was another one when I said the name. I thought, I remember her.
The Sullivan Award for the top U.S. Amateur Athlete of the Year goes to Tim Shaw, 18 years old, of Long Beach, California. Bill is still trying to track him down and get him on the show, who set world records in the 400, 800, 1500 meter freestyle swimming back in 1975. All joking aside, it was pretty clear that Tim Shaw was not interested in doing in this show or any show for that matter, and that's 100% fine. So we pivoted and we got Bruce Furness, and I'll be the first to tell you I did not know much about this swimmer, Bruce Furness, who ended up being one of the greatest swimmers in U.S. history. And he came on our show and was a spectacular guest, wasn't he?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So informative, so entertaining. What a great guy, and what an amazing career. Just not him, but his whole family.
Right.
Just amazing swimmers.
And he told us about well, he had a heart attack.
That's right.
And he's doing well.
And he came back basically amazingly pulled out of it. I mean,
right. His wife basically saved his life.
Yeah.
Then he told us about it getting his gold medal stolen.
Yeah.
So,
and then you add on that he jumped the gun on one of the meets in one of the cities where they would have won a medal over a team, and he blew it because he jumped and he jumped early, but he talked about it and opened up about it.
Yeah, and then they went to dinner that night, and like the waiter's like, "Did you hear about that idiot who jumped the gun too early?" And his three other buddies are like, "Yeah, that's him, right?"
That's him. And he was just so kind and so open and so nice, because you're right. I had never heard of Bruce Furness. I mean, we saw him and we just read that he was new Tim Shaw and thought, well, why not give it a shot? What a guy.
And I don't know exactly. I think it was the 100-meter free, but there are three guys that have won gold for the Americans in the 100-meter free: Mark Spitz, Michael Phelps, and Bruce Furness. That's pretty good.
Faces in the crowd.
Faces in the crowd. Mark.
I got Bruce, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. Brescia, Brescia. He's a freshman at Oak Park River High School in Chicago. He wins the National Indoor Boys 14 Under Tennis Championship, and then he won again in the Orange Bowl tournament in Coral Gable, Florida. So whatever happened to him, well, he played college tennis at, can you guess what school he played college tennis at?
Pepperdine.
Close, very good.
UCLA.
Yes.
My God.
And you know what? In 1982, they won the national championship, where they defeated Pepperdine for the national championship in 1982.
We're bringing it back.
Never forget that one.
Yeah.
Clash of the Titans in 82.
Yes.
Yes.
That's bringing it back, Mark. This is a Seinfeld episode. You brought it back.
Yeah. And there's a picture with him holding the NCAA trophy. See, I'm getting all choked up.
I know you were that emotional about it. Take a break.
Mark,
it was
okay.
Mark, it was a tight match. UCLA wins.
But there's a nice picture of Bruce there and there. But yeah, early 80s, man. That hair.
Everything okay, Mark?
I'm okay. I get choked up anytime I think
can't take that match was so terrible.
I think I get choked up anytime I think of UCLA tennis.
Me too.
Billy.
Helen Sharita Smith. She has no affiliation with UCLA or Pepperdine, but she was part of the Oakland Golden Grizzlies. She was the all-time leading rebounder, second all-time leading scorer. She's the first woman to ever have her banner raised for the Oakland Golden Grizzlies. She was drafted 8th overall in the 1980 WBL draft, but what did she choose to go into? She chose to be a teacher.
Oh. I raised her banner.
That's right. No, bite me again.
One more. The 19th hole is open for
19th hole, Bill. Wrap this thing up, shall you?
Okay, this one's Gino Carmack. The second, he's from Harvey, Illinois. Marquette lost to North Carolina State 76-64 in the NCAA final on March 25th, 1974. Where was the Black Jerry West on that night as David Thompson plied the friendly skies of the Greensboro Coliseum for 21 points? How can Al McGuire even think of mentioning Earl Tatum and David Thompson in the same sentence?
Ooh. How could he think of that?
It's a bit odd, but yeah.
Yeah.
But you're going to give someone the Black Jerry West. You've got a target on your back.
Hey, Mark, you done coughing?
Mark, you looking back at UCLA?
My name is Kaufman, not Hoffman. It's
Oh,
Kaufman.
perfect. Nice.
That's actually very good.
Hey, that'll do it for this week on Past Our Prime. Can't thank Franz Klammer. Woo, he just went by me. Enough for coming on the show. Love the story about how his grandkids were telling him, you know, Opa, how come everybody makes you sign their helmet? That was fantastic. So
Don't get me started on Opa again.
exactly. Mark's going to start crying again. We went back to Innsbruck in 76. Franz staring down an icy mountain at 65 miles an hour. Sheila Young stacking pretty medals with ice in her veins. Thanks always to Billy and Mark for the stories and perspective. I'm Scott Johnston. Next week, we flip to the page to the NHL Flyers captain, Bobby Clark, on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Grit, leadership, and a whole lot of edge. Until then, thanks for listening, because unlike the athletes we talk about, we are past our prime.